Hello and welcome to another OpenShift tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show how to install Istio on OpenShift 3.11, which is the latest release. This is applicable to OpenShift upstream version as well, which is called OpenShift OKD. I'm currently using a container platform, which is the enterprise version, but whatever installation I'm doing is applicable for both versions. So with that, let's get started. I created a small notes here in my repository, github.com, Debian master, and OpenShift examples, and then the Istio folder. And there's a sample notes here. These notes are not really official notes. It's just like a quick TLDR version of how you can get started with OpenShift. Okay, so with that, let's get started. I have a OpenShift cluster just freshly spun up. There is nothing inside it. I'm logging in as a user called, let's say, user 7 here, which is already an account on the OpenShift cluster. This user has no privileges now. What I want to do is make this user a cluster admin and then start with the installation process. So how do I make the user cluster admin? All I do is log in as a cluster admin on master or whoever has cluster admin privileges. And then I'm going to provide user 7 with cluster admin privileges. So you can see OCADM add cluster role to user. I just missed add here. Cluster role to user, and then role name is cluster admin, and then username is user 7. Okay, I missed the policy here. So I gave user 7 cluster admin privileges. Okay, so now I can see all the repositories. What I want to do now is go ahead with the OpenShift installation. So in 3.11, Istio installation of for OpenShift specifically uses an upstream project called Maestra. If you look at maestra.io, this is where the actual development is going on. Maestra is basically an operator for Istio. So if you want to install Istio as an operator, whether it is on Kubernetes or OpenShift, you basically use Maestra. The operator concept is something Red Hat got it from the CoreOS acquisition, mainly focuses on the day 2 operations as well. So if you're not just focused on just getting it up and running, but you also want to look at day 2 operations of upgrading the Istio and then also scaling, maybe Maestra or the operator model is the best fit for that. You can also use the just plain Helm charts or any other type of installation methods, but in this I'm going to focus on whatever is suggested by Red Hat. So with that, let's get started. So the Maestra is an upstream project that we are going to use. I quickly have some notes here. What I want to do is first create a new project called Istio operator. This can be any name. So I can log in with user 7 and then do all the commands. Generally, I do that so that you don't need to be on master always. So I just copy login command here and then login. Okay, once I log in, I'm going to create a new project. Istio new project, OC new project Istio operator. And then once I have the operator project created, I'm going to install the operator. So the operator installation is here right now. You can see. Okay, so this takes a parameter which is Istio public master public URL. I'm going to just copy it from here and then put it there. Okay, so this will basically create a template, and then that template can be used further for creating an operator. So that is what it is doing. So OC new app, and then providing it to a -f. You can provide a file name or you can provide a GitHub URL. And then if you put params here, it will also process the template. Okay. So this template is getting processed by OC new app command, and the parameter for the template is this public URL. You can also just import this template as a YAML file and then start it from UI. It's both ways works, but this is much easier. So I just create that, and then you can see the Istio operator has been created. So if I go into the Istio operator folder, sorry, namespace, you can see a operator is getting created. Okay, these operators are pretty lightweight. These are mostly Golang programs, which consumes about like 15 to 20 megabytes. These are not pretty big, so don't worry about like adding one more component here. But this will make your job easy when you want to upgrade the Istio itself in future, and then any other day-to operations features. So the operator is now ready. We haven't done any OpenShift Istio installation yet, but the operator which is meant to do the Istio installation is ready now. Okay, so this operator will watch for any object or Istio object creations, and then whenever someone asks for creating a Istio installation, it will go and create it on behalf of you. Okay, so how do I do that? If you look at this small YAML file here, it says the type is Istio OpenShift v1 alpha 1, and then their kind is installation. So this object, when you import, the operator understands that you want to install Istio, you want to install Jaeger, you want to install Kayali, which is the UI for service mesh, and then you may want to also install some other components as well, which are related to Istio itself. So all these comes as a package, and then integration between Istio and then Jaeger and then Kayali is everything done automatically for you. So you don't need to go again and then do all the settings. It will figure out what is the right version, and then basically you can pick your version. It's up to you, but configuring them all together is something it does very, very well. I can just copy this and then import it here, or I may need to create a file and then import it. Sometimes this UI import works, and then sometimes I have to create file. I don't know why, but that's been my experience. So I just create this so it doesn't work. You can see here. But if it doesn't work like that, just go create a simple file, istio install.camel, and then import that here. And then you're already inside the Istio operator project. You just do OC apply minus F Istio um, install.camel. That's it. So this will work. Okay, I don't know why it doesn't work in the UI, but yeah, this is something I observed. So if you're stuck in the UI, maybe try out the command line one. So we have created that installation object, and then you can see if you go to the log section, the operator was watching for the objects called installation here, and then it figured out someone requested a Istio installation, and then it is now doing the Istio installation for us. Okay, this operator will basically set up the right permissions, right everything that you need for Istio installation, and the actual installation is happening inside Istio namespace. Okay, so that is standard Istio installation. That we are not going to deviate from that. But only thing is automating that piece is something is done by the operator. Okay? So if you see the Istio system has been created, and then it basically runs a job inside that to do the installation. So if you see, it is carrying out all the installation for us right now. Okay, this will take a couple of minutes to completely load all the images and then also configure them. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes based on the speed that you have. It will try to pull all the Istio components. Okay, and we can see it is already starting to pull all the images. And then if you look at these images, these are all upstream images. There is no changes here. So basically doing all the installation for you from the operator. So you don't need to do like figure out all the dependencies and also data operations. Give it a couple of seconds and it will do the complete installation. Meanwhile, I would like to show you a few things here. If you look at these, okay, the routes are not created yet, but it is also going to create routes as well. Um, okay, so the Istio ingress has come up, and it's bringing up all the other components as well. So in the component section, if you look at this YAML file, we also ask for Jaeger and as well as Kayali for installation, right? So let me show you what Kayali is. Squially is a service mesh UI. So if we have Istio, and then if you would like to visualize everything inside a UI instead of YAML files, Kiali is the best place to go. So if you see this, Kiali provides a OpenShift like UI, and basically provides a graphical representation of all your services, how they're performing. And then if you look at like the right side here, you can also see for over a period of time, I can look at how many requests are incoming and how many requests are outgoing. And then also you can see how many requests are failed. At node level, you can see, and also at path level, you can see. So I think it's a pretty good feature to get an overall feeling of what is going on inside Istio, instead of you figuring out based on some Grafana dashboards. Grafana dashboards are pretty awesome as well, but I think this gives more like a overall picture if you are interested in that. Um, our installation is kind of almost done, except there are a few components here. Istio Galley and then Istio sidecar injector. So I would like to bring up few things here with respect to sidecar injection. So the sidecar injection in OpenShift is, I would say, it's not really completed. I think in Istio 1.1 something release, I don't remember the exact name, but that is when they're adding exceptions, few exceptions for other type of workloads. So when I say other type of workloads, what the real problem was, when Istio was running a automatic sidecar injector, and then when you deploy applications into OpenShift, if you're aware, it will deploy few other components as well, and then as part of the application deployment process. So what OpenShift does is, when you are deploying a application, each activity like the build phase, the deploy phase, and the run phase are done by different levels of permissions. So the build is more privileged. So the build happens in a separate container, which has kind of more privileges compared to a run container. And then it uses a separate service account for that, which is called build service account. And then for deploy, it uses a deploy pod, which is elevated by the deployer service account, right? And then actual run will happen using the default service account. So OpenShift uses this nice separation of concerns, especially with respect to security. I think it is important for you not to give more privileges than that you require. So although these are very good, what happens is with Istio, Istio sees the deployer pod, whatever OpenShift spins off, is also as a pod, and then it tries to inject the sidecar into that, and then that has caused some issues, and it is not able to deploy properly. So till 1.1, I guess, if I'm not wrong, till that comes out, my suggestion is go to disable the sidecar injection. Okay, and then how you can do is basically go to resources, config map, and then go to sidecar injector config map. And then it is already disabled. Policy is disabled. So I think you don't need to disable explicitly. But if you're trying to enable it, and then you might see issues. So that is one thing I would like you to remember. Okay, so with that, you can see the installation is complete. And then if I go to applications and routes, these are all created. So I can go to Kayali, the OpenShift service mesh UI. And then the password is the one I provided here. So username and then password. Once I log in, there will be nothing here because we did not deploy anything. So you'll not see anything here yet. You can also see different components here. So you can see Jaeger UI coming up, Grafana, and all these as it is coming up. Okay, so Jaeger is also integrated. Okay, and your usual Prometheus as well in this whole thing. Okay, with that, I would like to bring few more things into picture, especially with respect to when you deploy application containers and then you're using a Istio-based sidecar injector. Especially in OpenShift, what happens is Istio needs to change some IP table rules on the host in order for it to work properly. Uh, in general, that is a pretty highly elevated permissions, which I think Kubernetes, like the standard Kubernetes cluster, gives you by default. Uh, and I don't think it's a good idea to give a sidecar on a permissions to the host itself. Okay, pod level, I understand you can change anything that you want, but a sidecar connect container and then going into the host level and then changing the IP table rules, which I think is not a best practice. I have raised some issues on the GitHub, and there is some work going on upstream to change those things. But until then, the only way in OpenShift for you to run Istio is to elevate the service account permissions. So, what kind of permissions does it need? It needs a uh, privileged permissions, and then also the privileged permission, privileged service SCC also needs to have a netadmin capability as well. Okay, so how do I do that? I have a small notes here. So the way you can elevate the permissions here is you need to create two things. So let's say you're deploying applications into a target project. Okay, so for that project, you need to do one-time setup, and that is these two commands. Okay, so let me expand a bit. So these two commands need to be executed in per project, and this is only one-time activity. What I'm doing here is basically providing a netadmin capability to the privileged secure context constraints. If you are aware of these in the OpenShift, these are the pod security rules. And then the second command is providing the default service account with privileged access, privileged SEC. Okay, so these are the three commands. Basically, like whenever you create a project, and then you have to run these two commands for one time. Okay, then the sidecar containers, which are coming up, will be able to pick up the IP table rules and all that is provided by the Istio sidecar container. I think so. This is the workaround you need to do until the upstream comes up with a good solution on how we can basically provide these containers with lesser privileges with respect to sidecar containers. So this is something work is going on. There is no updates yet. Some smart people came up with ideas like we can use a daemon set for changing the IP table rules whenever it sees a container or a pod with a specific annotation. If you want to look at this is a work done by Andy, Istio pod network controller. But this is not a standard solution yet. Maybe just a workaround until you get the other upstream fixed up. Okay, so it basically looks at a annotation, and then based on annotation, a daemon set is running on all the nodes, which will change the IP table rules on behalf of the sidecar container instead of sidecar container doing it, right? This is what I understood from the solution here. I think it's a better approach than providing a privileged access. But like I said, the upstream Istio is also working on providing a better solution. So two things to note. One is this privileged access, and then also the sidecar auto injection is something both are being worked on upstream. Okay. Until then, I think with these small fixes, you'll be able to deploy Istio workloads on top of OpenShift. I hope this video was useful. Um, I will also make some videos on Knative pretty shortly, and then keep watching for them. Thank you very much.